Well, as you can see, we're getting some horizontal rain here at the moment at Park Beach in Coffs Harbour. It has been pretty heavy all morning. The main and the worst affected area, though, is close to the Queensland border in the northern rivers. That's where the heaviest rain has been. Over 200 millimetres has been falling in the Tweed River catchment just in the past 24 hours alone, and 1,000 properties received evacuation warnings. Now, warnings come before the evacuation orders. The orders say you must leave immediately. The warnings say you must get ready to leave for those evacuation orders. Hopefully they don't come, but we have been seeing some very strong river rises in the Tweed River. However, some good news. In the last half an hour or so, there's been a revision of the flood warning for Tweed River, and we're no longer expecting major flooding at Tumbulgum at noon this afternoon. It's expected to peak just under there. However, we're likely to still see some issues with that river at the moment. We're also expecting to see moderate flooding at Murwillumbah and also Chinderah, moderate flooding possible at Lismore on the at the Wilson River rather, and also no major flooding expected, thank goodness, at the Bellinger River, which is just to the south of Coffs Harbour. Moderate flooding expected there this morning, peaking at over 6 metres. Now, there were also some flood rescues happening close to the Queensland border around that Tweed River area, around Tumbulgum and also South Murwillumbah as well. 3 flood rescues. That takes the total of 9 flood rescues of people trapped in their cars from this flood event. I just want to take you over here. Now, this is Park Beach. We're concerned about this damaging surf, which is the strongest on the mid-north coast today. The strongest pulse of swell has moved down from the northern rivers. Of course, we saw that very damaging surf hit Byron Bay yesterday. Well, it's on the mid-north coast today, and we're expecting a high tide peak, not a king tide here, but a high tide peak at 9:18. And as you can see, the water has engulfed the entire beach, and it's now lapping up onto the grassy knolls of the beach there. So that's a concern over the next hour or so. Some coastal erosion is likely this morning before it eases back tonight, and then the strongest swell moves south to Sydney and the Hunter. Pete.
Kenny Heatley, it is a wet and wild one out there today. We appreciate the work that you are doing. We'll talk to you again soon for another update. Let's go live to Anna Rawlings now. She's on the Gold Coast for us. Anna, good morning to you. So the focus there is on an incoming king tide and even more erosion.
It is, Pete. So now that this wild weather system seems to be moving south, although we are still getting some pretty drenching downpours here on the Gold Coast today, the focus is on erosion, that approaching king tide around mid-morning. Now, we saw quite a significant amount of erosion along the southern Gold Coast beaches yesterday. Quite a lot of sea foam as well. The restaurant behind me is known for, I suppose, potentially flooding or the waves coming in when the conditions get like this. They've been sandbagging there, really trying to do what they can to protect their business. Further north on Bribie Island, that's where authorities have some of the most concern today. We saw for the first time yesterday with some high tides and those surging swells, the water actually break over the northern end of Bribie Island. That has now been closed to tourists and to visitors. So they are a national park site, just keeping an eye on that today, and they are asking people to stay away. Now, we are, I suppose, in the aftermath of this wet weather system, although it is still going. There were almost 10,000 homes without power yesterday. RACQ's had around 250 claims in as people really try to, I suppose, clean up after this cell that came through yesterday. The most significant rainfall was in the Gold Coast hinterland. We saw around 800 millimetres of rain in some parts of the Springbrook area. So the warning from authorities as that rainfall does start to come down off the hinterland and down onto the coast is to still just be safe. There is a flood warning in place for some parts of Queensland, so just to keep an eye on your local warnings.
Okay.